All right, hey guys, here today to talk to you about coaches moving up the ecosystem, moving up the ladder, whatever you want to like phrase it as. So, broke it down to a couple different things. I'd say unequivocally, without a doubt, the best way to move up the ladder is to be in other previous successful teams. Whether that's actually having the amount of impact that is needed from a top level coach is not actually what matters. It's having that on your resume, being known, because it's really hard for coaches to make a name for themselves given there's no real way to prove themselves other than like writing articles, maybe getting popular doing like analysis, but that's all like side things. People would much rather watch players become interested in players making big plays. If a team looks good, then that's another way you can like get recognized. If they do some weird stuff, if they have weird strategies, if they looked very studied and they're like playing to counter the opponents, and so they're doing very good scouting. So those are two things. But what to do to move up? I'd say for someone who's not very known, and that's what I'm basically doing right now. I'm trying to make a lot of content, and I'm really trying to like show that, hey, I have the motivation. This is what I can do. I do have some experience. Like I've been coaching for the past, I don't know, year and a half in Overwatch, even at like a top level. I'd say like tier 3 to like tier 2, tier 1 ish. I don't know what you'd want to even call it anymore. The tiers are all messed up. So I have been helping people. I have been coaching, but like the way to prove it is basically team experience. That's what I've seen from nearly every single coach is just word of mouth. Oh, we're looking for a new coach. What do we need? Well, let's ask our players. Who did they have as previous coaches? Who do they know who's available right now that's good? And 95, 96, 97% of the time, it's all this guy was on a previously good team. This guy's on a team where all of the players are leaving. This guy worked well with this team that I used to be on. Let's hire him. So that seems to be what it's been like. It's been a lot of the coaches have been recycled and like flipped over. So I'm thinking of like before there was Owl, there was a lot of contenders coaches, there was a lot of Apex coaches that just slotted right into Owl, and then once they realized that they weren't at that same top level, a lot of them got recycled down into academy teams, and they've been kind of just like getting flipped around in there, and so there is going to be room for those coaches to potentially join expansion teams or newer coaches to join the academy team. So it's a bit of a reshuffling and stuff all the time. A lot of them stay around a lot longer than players because you don't have to keep that mechanical skill as you get older. Sometimes you just get better at your job. So for coaches, it doesn't really matter if you get older. I'd say it's probably better as you get older because then you can take on a more leadership role. You'll be older than all the players on the team. So it works better with more experience. And so previous teams definitely matters. So I'm trying to think of examples, especially like a lot of the Seoul coaches came from GC Busan, Kongbu Panthera, Lunatic High, and then like all those coaches kind of got shuffled around, and then it was like the next string of coaches. So the coaches on, I'm trying to think, I think it was Kongdu Uncia. They had Bubbly on Seoul for a while. There was Moon who was on Foxes or something. So there was like a bunch of other coaches as well that got moved down from like the second tier of top Korean teams, and then now we're seeing another thing of like the expansion teams where those staff are just being put onto these newer expansion teams because they need to build infrastructure, and it seemed to work for especially like the runaway team, like pulling the infrastructure from one team to another, maybe the Kongdu as well. You just pull and plug them back in. So it seems to work that way. Behind the scenes, I'd say there's a lot of exchanging of information. So like the coaches I know of, a lot of them have resumes and stuff that is like very not public, and a lot of the information they share with just their team, just the new teams they're trying to look for, just the players they work with. And so if you're trying to move up the ladder, there really isn't a lot of information to go off of. I'm trying to like publicize everything that I do. So even if it somewhat backfires and someone like steals my ideas and does a better thing, then so be it. I'm trying to like help other coaches because I've worked with a lot of them, like teaching them what to do, but as well as try to like show what I can do. But the only way I can really do that, not being as known as some of these other players, or coaches rather, that have had like a lot of experience with the players, is make my work public and really show it off and show what I know, like game knowledge wise. I feel like I really understand everything game knowledge wise. I feel like it's just like refining it, getting it down so I can teach it at like a really good level, and then be able to like work with players in the specific role that I would be given into. So if it's like an analyst, then be able to like get all that information down. That's probably the thing I struggle with the most, is like I can get all the information, but like getting it into a consumable piece of information is something that's like it takes the next step to actually do that. And so I have to work on that. Hopefully in the next year I can get something going for myself so I can like be a spokesperson for, hey, this is how I did it. This is how you might be able to potentially do this in the future. If you're looking to do this, this is the steps you can take. You can talk to me. I can try to help you out. If you have good work, I can read it over, maybe like suggest you to a team, maybe show you a way to get up, move up the ladder as well. So I'm hoping I can find someone who will help me. I can help someone in the future, and hopefully I can make it. So that's basically it. I hope a lot of coaches, really, the ones who do deserve it and who really put in a lot of effort, can move up eventually. And then the old guard who were kind of there before but aren't as focused and don't really care as much, maybe they can like take a back seat where they aren't going to be the main ones. Maybe coaching teams will like expand so they don't necessarily have to be as like game driven. They can be more personal driven and focus on player attitudes and things like that. And then there can be more analytical focused coaches come in to help them and be on the side.